And actually, before we start, this is Future Sky to give a little bit of a warning. I did not realize that the audio for this video is actually non-existent, specifically the Minecraft audio, because I went ahead and recorded with a few friends over the time between weeks, and, well, I had audio issues then, I had audio issues now, and I didn't fix them for the next recording, so just know that for the entirety of the video from here on out, there's not going to be any Minecraft audio. I apologize, and I will have that fixed by a point during next week's video, but I hope you guys still enjoy it nonetheless. Alright, now we'll get started. And hello everyone, and welcome back to week 76 of our Minecraft Let's Play series. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing very well this week. So yeah, week 76, and now that we've gone ahead and looked at what 1.21.5 has to offer, we're going to go ahead and head back to what we were doing before that update came out, which, for those that don't remember, even though it hasn't been that long, this is what it looks like. The first thing that I want to do this week is I want to talk about our end farm, specifically our Enderman farm, because something has changed with that. I just want to give you guys a small update on that because it took me by surprise and also confused me. Then of course we've got the villager hall, which I want to input more masons into, and hopefully we can get more instead of having to swap them out. Then I want to work on our piglin bartering system by inputting redstone as well as the gold input. Then of course I want to do some more jelly statue work, maybe add some more of those pagoda towers into the diagonal paths. Base decoration, I'm thinking possibly working on some docks. We'll see. Maybe working on a nice farm this week. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked up an actual design for that, and I'm still not going for the design that we did 2 weeks ago. So without further ado, the first thing I actually want to do is head to our Enderman farm to talk about that for a quick minute, just because, well, people at Mojang decided to change one thing for some reason, and it took me by surprise. And that is, for some reason, they decided to change the height at which Endermen will die at, or, they decided to change their health. I now had to increase this platform by 1 block higher because this is where they will now die from one punch. But when I had the slabs here, they all just died on impact, and that kind of defeats the purpose of this farm. So yeah, we now have a little bit of a platform here, which could be a good thing because now I can go ahead and put hoppers under here, and we could have the ender pearls dispense into those hoppers, which can be put into a dispenser to just drop them into the void or put them in the chest. I will kind of decide on what I want to do with that eventually, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, I thought I'd just give you guys a quick update, because if you decide to build this farm now, this needs to be raised by 1 block. Otherwise, you'll just have the endermen go ahead and fall down, hit the ground, and then immediately perish. But with that little explanation out of the way, it is now time for us to head to the nether to do our usual moving of the villagers to try and get some more masons. Meaning that, of course, we'll go over to where our villagers are and make the rail actually work. Then start sending them over one by one, and go ahead and send them through the portal. As per usual, repeating for the other 7 villagers. And now that they are all here, we will go ahead and send them over to where they're supposed to be. And now that they are all in place, we'll go ahead and trade with them all their brick trades, then their trades for stone. Now we figure out their specific stone trades. And now it is time to figure out whether or not their terracotta trades are worth it. You have black and white terracotta. I do need black, but you also, yeah, polished andesite. Who is our white terracotta trade? You are. Would you take that granite? I do actually think we'll trade this out. So I'm sorry, but goodbye, sir. And hello to you, sir. You, sir, have black glazed terracotta and yellow terracotta, neither of which we need. So you do not get to stay. I'm sorry, sir. You have green and lime glazed terracotta, both of which we need, and polished andesite, polished granite. You get to definitely say, you, sir, have another quartz tray. That means you're immediately gone. You, sir, have white enlightenment glazed, neither of which we need. Sorry, sir. You, sir, have cyan on both, which we do actually need. So I guess we'll be taking you. You, sir, you have green and white. We don't need either of those anymore. Bye. And finally, you have red and green, neither of which we need. Goodbye, sir. Alright, so we ended up getting 2 new villagers, as well as trading out another one. So I've been very meticulous about trying to not have overlaps with the colors, and I didn't realize that I actually could. There is only 32 variants, and I didn't realize that, 32 trays divided by 2, because there's 2 trays per villagers, only turns into 16, and we've got 21 slots here, so there was room for error. I didn't realize that. This probably could have been done a lot faster had I realized, but oh well. We now have more wiggle room to actually hopefully get these masons done. Next week would be very optimistic, but maybe in the next few weeks. And then we can work on a different job, maybe even filling up the shepherds up top. But for now, we're done with villager trading in our villager hall, so let's go ahead, head back to our base, and get started on the next thing on our agenda. And that item on our agenda is the piglin bartering system. Now, I know on here I've got something for redstone and also a gold input, but mainly because I don't think I'm going to have enough rails to do the input, and also we're starting to go low on a bit of iron. I think for the time being, I'm going to at least make sure we have the redstone going well, and then we'll worry about the gold input at a different point in time when I can at least afford, which probably means that we'll have to go ahead and, run it a bit, but that's fine. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some materials for what we're gonna be doing today, and I will meet you guys in the nether. Alright, here we are at our piglin bartering system, which one of the nice things actually about this is that we've already started one of our actual redstone clocks, and that is obviously here. And alright, this is all I wanted to do. Essentially, this is going to be a way of us only needing to flip a lever to start this clock, because this will push the piston in, playing the circuit, as well as there is a piston down here that goes ahead and pushes this up so it's not constantly being powered like so. I seem to have done it too early. Right, because this needs a repeater. So simple enough, we'll just make one, place it here, and now this should work. Yep, there we go. And then if we flip this off, it completely turns off. And that's kind of how we're going to be doing this whole redstone thing over here, or how we'll at least be controlling the on and off system. Also, I should mention that with these ice blocks, I should have gone ahead and placed some buttons on them, so I'm going to fix that now. There we go. Buttons placed on all of them, so we don't have to worry about that now. And here's the nice thing also, is that once I get the redstone set up for all of these, I will not have to worry about setting it up for the other side, because it's just going to be mirrored. I also should probably place down some slabs. So first, let's actually start with the droppers, because what I'm thinking is that we're not going to do anything too drastic with these. We're just going to be using some repeaters placed intermittently between these two, or not between these two, but between each one, because that should activate all of them. In fact, we might be able to get away with doing like every 2, so like these 2 would have a repeater, this would have a repeater, these 2 would have a repeater, this would have a repeater. That would actually work out perfectly. So let's see if that works. So there'd be a redstone line going across here, and then what I was thinking is, because I brought some observers with us, my hope is that we can kind of just do something like this to get it working. So just kind of place 2 observers into each other. Now the question is, does a block from here go all the way in? It does. Alright, cool. So that means we don't have to use more materials than just this, which is quite nice actually. Now I'm actually going to have this be a little bit weird, because I don't want this attaching to the piston down there. And the nice thing is we could just do this to power each of all these droppers, so this whole strip is now working. And actually what I think we can do for this piston, we go ahead and place some blocks here. So what we want is a repeater facing to there, stone brick on top, repeater coming out of this block, redstone on top of that, block on top of that. Now if I go ahead and place the observer, that does not work. Oh, it has issues because of bud power, or not bud powering, but diagonal powering, I think. So I break this. No, I'm not entirely sure what is happening actually. I think it might be because of where these are placed, which is not good. So what we might want to do instead is break both of these and replace them with repeaters, because I think the piston below is being diagonally powered. Now the design might work. Just have to make it again. Why is it still extended? I'm very confused, actually, why this is still extended. Hold on, I'm curious now. If I just place this here, and I did the exact same format that I was doing earlier, just without the extra step, I guess we run into this issue, but be fixed. I could also break stuff. That is also an option. So now we can place the repeaters here. And does this work? I mean, I guess there's only one way to find out. We throw an item and see if it makes it down here. 17 into here, and then 17 into here. Oh, we're also gonna need to put a block up there. Gotcha. Alright, blocks seem to have come to here. We may need to put some glass. Ooh, that's not good. Alright, never mind. We cannot have this at least activating this guy. So we'll go ahead and put the blocks here that were here last time. Repeaters and all that. What do we do about you, though? Will this work with just one repeater, maybe? Does that slow it down enough? Probably not, but we could try. So what we will actually do is place a half slab here. Redstone dust, another block, redstone dust on top of that, block on top of that with a repeater. And now if we place an observer down, well, the block's staying, but is that slow enough? Well, again, I guess one way to find out. It actually does seem to be slow enough. I don't think any blocks got stuck up there. And if that's the case, that's great, because that means we don't need any more redstone contraptions. We can just use those two. Nice. However, of course, we're going to need to add a stone brick slab here just for spawns. We're going to have to hook this up to a sticky piston to pull it out so that we don't have to worry about it. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do that now so I don't forget. And then when that piston is extended, like so, and then pulls that off, and that is how we activate this. Levers on, all this will turn on, levers off, it will turn off. Alright, we're getting somewhere now. Now finally, what I'd like to do is, well, actually this one's going to be pretty simple. We just need to put a redstone line to each of those soul sand blocks so that they all activate once. So a simple way of doing that is we run stone bricks out, like so. Probably need a repeater or two in here, which is fine. And we don't need repeaters in here at least, which is good. Actually, maybe the better way of doing this is having this go from the center, perhaps, so we don't have to worry about all this, like, breaking. So something like that. And I've also realized that I do think I actually want to change this piston, mainly just because, well, it'd be easier to wire the redstone around this way than it is to go over. So I'll be putting it on the side that will probably be AFKing on. So I think now if we go ahead and flip a lever, or a lever, whichever way you pronounce it, here. Alright, maybe it needs a longer pulse. Alright, well that worked. Do I need to move this back a bit? Oh, it's too short of a pulse. Gotcha. Just turn that to 4 tick. That should work. Oh, wait, no. It's not too short. It's too long of a pulse. Because we want it to stay. That's fine. Does this dispense an item from here? No. Also, we actually don't want it to pulse. We want it to stay on. So actually, maybe it would just be better to have it on this side then. Have that contraption here, and then have the redstone just go down to there. Alright, I just realized that these need to be repeaters anyway, because this, the pressure plate, will activate these. We don't need that. So I'm over-engineering this for no reason, and I should just be using repeaters either way. Alright, now after way too long of trying to figure this out, we have something that has the repeating pattern for this, the one-time activation for these dispensers. Now all we need to do is repeat this on that side and then hook it also up to that, and then we can do a test run to see if it'll work. I also might want to bring some glass with me as well so that we don't have to worry about the items falling where I don't want them to. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, connect everything up, and I will see you guys with the finished product. And alright, here we go. This is everything hooked up with redstone, and now my hope is that we can go ahead and feed the gold in. We're just going to put them into the droppers for the time being, 20 at a time, so 10 for each piglin, and we're going to run it and see if we catch any errors. I'm going to hope not, but you never know. Might happen. Alright, all the gold's in place. Let's fire it up. And theoretically, this should go ahead and just throw all the items. Yep, there we go. You can see them right there. And they're all getting thrown down and into our sorting system. They do bounce a little bit, and that's mainly just because of timing things, but I don't believe it breaks it too much. Okay, maybe it breaks it a slight bit, so we might have to fix the timing, but that's why we're testing. And obviously this is going to struggle trying to put everything away, but yeah, look at that. I've been here for a few minutes, not even. Not too surprised that everything's falling into here, but yeah, no, that's pretty good for running it for 10 seconds. So yeah, we do need to go ahead and figure out a better redstone mechanism for the piston down here, or just this in its entirety, because this shouldn't have broken it, but it did. So I may go ahead and do this at a different point, like fix this part, but for now, I've been here for about an hour and a half, so we're gonna go ahead and swap into doing something else. I'll meet you guys back at our base. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to be working here at our base. There's a few things that I want to touch up around here, as well as I want to build a new structure around our base. Now that structure is not going to be big per se, and we might not even remember it exists after today, but well, I think it'd be best just to show you what I have planned. And that is here. This is literally all I want to do. We got some tiny detailing due to the fact that some blocks in our base need to be fixed. I'll explain that when we get there. I want to add the plants that we got around 1.21.5's update to our base. I want to add in a couple of lamps, I believe literally just 2. You'll see where I put those. And then I want to go ahead and work on a dock, specifically over on this side. I've talked about it before, and I think it is high time that we actually go ahead and build something over here. But first, let's do the other things. So first things first, up here, you may have noticed that comparatively to that wall we built over there, I never went ahead and topped off these logs. Why? I'm not sure. I may have just forgotten about it. Maybe I wanted to do something with it, but right now they could just be topped off and look a little bit better than if it just shows the log in it. And also over here, I want to go ahead and insert 2 lamps in these corners just to give off some better lighting. So we'll just do that. And there we go. And also we could probably take this torch out, but that torch I think needs to stay. And you might be wondering why I didn't add like another lantern maybe at the intersection of where these 2 lamps meet, and that is just because of the fact that, well, I put a lamp here, that's going to be in the way, and I don't know what I want to do with this yet, so time will tell what I'd end up doing with this, but not this week. And then the other small thing I wanted to do was add some plants around here, like I said, from our little excursion in the 1.21.5 update, but again, I can't just add random plants to here. I can't just add like these leaf litters or these short and tall dry grasses. So we'll stick with the bushes and the firefly bushes probably, and maybe even some of the wildflowers. Now something I actually need to check because I'm not too sure is, do the bushes grow next to each other if we like plant them and then bone meal them? Because I know that happens with the firefly bushes. Does that happen with the regular bushes? Alright, it does. Good. These need silk touch. Good to know. Alright. And for the time being, I'm thinking that what we do is just add these sparingly around these leaf piles that we've gone ahead and made. So yeah, I'll just sprinkle these throughout the area and I will show you guys the finished product. Yeah, so something just like this, like a firefly bush and a regular bush just every so often in our leaf piles here is kind of what I was aiming for. The firefly bushes I think give off light level, but then of course I went ahead and did that to these bushes over here, and you saw me doing it to these bushes over here, which actually are the only bushes I have. But actually another place I think I can add some is in our wolf den. I think that might look a little bit nice, just add a little bit more character to it. Not a lot, we've already got a lot of greenery in here, so I don't want to overdo it. So just occasionally place down 1 or 2 of these in areas that don't have any greenery. Again, nothing too extravagant, just enough to give it a little bit more life, like that. Now hopefully we'll be able to see the fireflies when we get the chance. Actually, we can kind of already see some of them. If you see the white specks, I believe those are supposed to be the fireflies around these plants. Or maybe they aren't and I'm just crazy, who knows. But either way, that's all I wanted to do with these bushes. I have not done anything with these wildflowers though. In all honesty, I'm not sure what I'd want to do with them at the moment at least, because, well, the issue with them being yellow is that they'll stand out a little bit more than the greens of the bushes. So yeah, if I decide to do flowers, well, I need to have an area that has flowers already in my opinion, or I'd have have to start an area with flowers. So I'm just not going to place down the wildflowers for the time being, and we'll actually get on to the final thing that I wanted to do at our base this week, and that is the dock. But before that, I did want to go ahead and show you guys what the fireflies look like, at least at night. It's the same white pixels that are supposed to be in the bush, and they also twinkle. I didn't even realize that. So yeah, everywhere that I place them is going to have a few fireflies just kind of flying about, which I think adds a little bit of character to our base. But definitely if I want to have, you know, more fireflies roaming around at night, then I'm going to have to place down more of these bushes. So we'll see what the future brings for actual, like, greenery around our base. But that's for another time. Because now we're going to get to work on this dock. It's a simple design, but it is going to require us to do a few things first. So let's get that out of the way. First things first, we're going to need to go ahead and plug up these waterfalls. We will go ahead and plug this one right here and that one right there. And now the next step for this is I actually need to go ahead and terraform a decent bit, aka I need to take out all this dirt up to the post over here and the stone, obviously. We also need to go ahead and flatten out the area here as well, because I'll be building over here and then over on that wall too. And we actually need to take them down one more block too, so do that. Alright, now that we've cleared out the area, we can get to work. And first things first, actually, we need to fix this. It's not going to look right if I just kind of leave it as is it? No problem. I went ahead and brought those blocks with us, so we can at least go ahead and make this look like it's supposed to. Also need to fix all this, so do that. Oh, and another thing I needed to fix was over here. This is supposed to be a chiseled stone brick, not a regular stone brick. Would anyone have noticed but me? Probably not, but it's me, so we're fixing it. Alright, there we go. Wall is now made, and we can start working on the actual dock, which the first thing we're going to be doing is adding in a tough border around our wall here, and then we go 3 blocks of the dark oak slabs, and then another bit of tough. And that is what we're going to be doing about from there. It's going to go around to there, and probably end up about there. So I'll see you in a second when I have that finished. And there's our dock. Obviously not, that would be a really bad dock, but that's going to be our platform for this. Now, with a bit of spruce, we're going to give this thing some poles, and we'll make it so that they actually look like they're going into the ground. So start from about here, and there we go. Now it actually looks like it's being supported by something, but now we need to do something about those supports because they look weak now. So we'll pull together some dark oak slabs as well as some deep slate brick slabs and some deep slate brick stairs. We're going to go from the bottom here, place down the dark oak, and then place down these stairs below it with a deep slate slab. And now we have our bracing, and that's what we're going to be doing throughout this entire thing. And there we go. That looks a little bit more structurally sound, doesn't it? And we'll go ahead and place down some slabs on top of these blocks, segment once again to cover the grain of the logs, like so. Now we're going to put down some oak fences around here for a little bit of a border, leaving a gap actually right here for the idea of a ship coming in, and also probably leaving a gap here wouldn't be a bad idea either for things you'll see in a second. Yep, just go around like so. We're not going to add a border to these mainly because there's wall here and I don't know what I want to do with that at the moment. Again, future sky problems. Now we're going to add something I didn't even really think to add beforehand, which I really should have, and that is this ladder to actually be able to get out if we fall in, because if you did fall in and I didn't have like rockets or something, I would not be able to get out of here. And that already is the entire dock build. It is very small. Like I said, it was going to be anything huge, but I like how it looks. It is very simplistic. It does what I think it needs to do. I definitely need to do other things around here, like there's gotta be some terraforming. I need to add a copper trapdoor up there, and as well as a spruce trapdoor up there. That will be something I worry about later. And, you know, it just kind of gives a little bit more of character to our base, which is all I'm trying to do around here. And I think it looks very nice. Now, this does throw a wrench into my plans because I believe I said at one point that I wanted to build a ship somewhere in this cave, and that's going to be kind of hard with the spacing I've given myself, especially here. So what I'm going to need to figure out is how to do that. I probably might even need to like clear out this side and make the cave a little bit wider. I'm also going to need to raise the water level, but for the time being, again, say it with me, that's a future sky problem. So for now, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and collect the materials for the next thing that we're going to do on our list, and I will meet you guys guys, well, over at the Jelly statue. And alright, now that we are here, the thing that I wanted to do for the end of this week is these little pagoda towers, these little archways. I wanted to add them into the corners here. And so I've gone ahead and gathered the materials for that. But this is going to be a lot harder than the other ones because these are on an angle. And this might not look great, but I think in the end, hopefully you guys will be okay with how they look. So let me get started and go through a little bit of the process, at least for one. So just like last time, we need to go ahead and put down a 4-block tall pillar at every place that I plan to have a corner. And then we go ahead and place some deep slate tile blocks right next to them. And for the back one, we're going to actually have to go ahead and put these across. I also forgot that I need to strip all these so that they actually look red and not just like logs. And you may notice that these no longer, well, work because, you know, we need black stone in the corners and then we also need the tough tiles here. So we're going to be breaking these out, putting the blackstone tiles here, and then I brought along some of the tough brick slabs, which we will go ahead and just put here to complete the look. And then with the tough, we of course go ahead and build up a wall, just like so. However, this one's going to be a little bit harder because it's at diagonal, so I can't just, you know, place them like that. The back wall is easy though because I can go ahead and just place it like this. And actually, for reasons you'll see in a second, we're going to go ahead and put some tough blocks here in these corners. Take out some doors, some trap doors, and some stairs. Stairs go like so. Trap doors. This is going to be where I get everyone bothered because I can't necessarily put this into a way that is symmetrical, and I apologize. And then we go ahead and place the doors in all the corners. This is kind of basically going right off of that, but it needs to be diagonal, so it's a little bit weird. Now we're going to go ahead and add a bamboo roof. Place down torches in the corners for lighting the underside of this. And I believe we get into the weird part of trying to build a roof on this thing. So first things first, we will go ahead and place stairs like so it looks like this. Then I believe with our full blocks we do something along the lines of this. And now that we have these full blocks, that allows us to make a weird pattern on the sides of them, which this will allow us to go ahead and place some lanterns on the outside as well as inside in these corners. And a row of stairs, or a layer, not a row. Go ahead and place down slabs here. Now we get into some really weird territory of how I built this, because this, to try and get the shape I wanted, was not easy. Yeah, no, I do not know why I made this roof so complicated, but here we are, with me building it just the way I did. But eventually we will go ahead and get to something that looks like this, which honestly, for it being on diagonal, I would say is a pretty good recreation of these ones over here. So now what I need to go ahead and do is place this on the other 4 corners, which is going to be a pain for me, but you guys will be saved. Don't worry about it. I'll see you guys when I am done with them. And alright, there we go. All of them now finished. So we have a gate in every, I guess, compass direction. And I'll be honest, some of these might be messed up because it was hard recreating them, but I think all in all, they look fine. And I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. Sure, they look strange in some places, but oh well, it's bound to happen. And I have extra blocks for some reason. I don't know how that happened. These I do because I brought extras with me, but the other ones I've got no clue. But with all that being said, that is actually going to be it for this week. I know we did a lot of small things, but they were very big when it came to actual impact. We went ahead and, of course, implemented more masons into our village hall. We went ahead and added some redstone components to our paper bartering system, hopefully getting that closer to be actually finished. Then, of course, we added these pagodas around our Jelly statue, which, honestly, I don't know if I can call them pagodas because they don't have more than one level, but you know what I mean. Then, of course, went ahead and talked about our Enderman farm and the fact that needed to be increased by a block for some strange reason. And then finally, the additions we made around our base with the dock, the plants, fixing some blocks, as well as adding in a couple of lamps. So all in all, I would say that is a pretty good week. But yeah, that is going to be it for this week. I thank you all for watching. Y'all take care, have a great one, and I will see you guys hopefully in the next week. All right, take care. Bye-bye.